everyone. My name is Jenna. Welcome back to the Short Kitchen. Thank you very much to our social kitchen for having me again. I'm really excited because today I'm going to be doing something that I really love. Nougat from scratch. We have honey, we've got granulated sugar, we have glucose, nuts and some flavorings that we're going to be adding into our nougat. So I've got my egg whites here, we've got butter, and then I have vanilla powder because I don't have vanilla essence. So I've got glucose here. I'm going to start by putting my sugars together in a pot with a little bit of water, and then we're going to start boiling it to 140 degrees. So I'm going to add my honey now as well. I don't want anything left over because that could be a whole mouthful of nougat that we are leaving behind. So we can't have that. Definitely not. And now we're going in with our white sugar. So I've got some water here, about maybe half a cup, maybe a little bit more. And I'm just going to add that water in there, room temperature. And I'm just going to give it a good swirl around the pot. This is just going to help sugar crystals dissolve. So I'm going to take it now and I'm going to put it on the stove. We need to get to 140, which is quite high, so this is going to take some time. I did give it a little stir before we put it on the heat. It's really important to note when working with sugar that you don't constantly stir it when we have to take it to a high temperature, because what happens is with the agitation, it will actually land up causing it to crystallize, which means the sugar will revert back to its original form and become very hard and stiff, and the whole thing will become like a very solid mass, and that's not what we want. And why glucose is so important is because glucose is known as a doctor ingredient, especially in baking and pastry, and it helps prevent sugar from crystallizing. But another wonderful thing that glucose does and why it's so important is it helps retain moisture and keep the confections nice and soft as well, so it prolongs the shelf life too. Okay, so in the meantime, while my sugar is coming to temperature, I've got some almonds, about 200 grams of almonds. I know nuts are really expensive, and I think that's what we're all very hesitant about when we're making something like nougat, because it's mostly always about what we put inside that adds to the deliciousness of it. So you can make the nougat plain without anything inside, but you can put almost any nuts and any dried fruit. The thing to remember is whatever you're putting inside the nougat should be dry. So I'm just going to pop my nuts in the oven for about 5 minutes. I don't want them to be too roasted. I just want a nice light roast on my nuts. So I've got some roughly chopped pistachio nuts. I'm not roasting my pistachio nuts because I like the flavor of them without being roasted. I find that it's really nice and light. And then we have some dried blueberries. I'm just using dried blueberries for a little bit of a different flavor variation. We've just got some nice dried rosebuds that I'm going to put on top for decoration. I'm now at about 110 degrees. When it gets to 130 degrees, the relay is going to begin. Whipping our egg whites, and our egg whites have to get to stiff peak at the same time as our sugar gets to 140 degrees. I wasn't able to buy rice paper, and rice paper goes with nougat hand in hand. So I am going to be showing you, I guess, a technique for naked nougat, as I'd like to call it, which is what you see here, whereas it's got some of the toppings not only inside, but on top as well. The biggest difference between using rice paper and no rice paper is the fact that the rice paper really gives it stability, especially when you cut it. It holds the shapes really nicely, and it also prevents it from being sticky on the top and the bottom. So if you don't have rice paper, no problem. We're going to be doing it without rice paper today. I'm just going to take my nuts out of the oven. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower the temperature of my oven. So it's on about 80 degrees. And the reason for this is because when it comes time to add our nuts and everything into our nougat, it's good to make sure that the ingredients that are going inside are warm, so that it doesn't set the nougat faster before you can put it into the tin, because then we have a bit of a situation on our hands. Let's prepare the dish for the nougat. So I've sprayed the dish already quite liberally with spray and cook, and I'm actually going to trial this, but I would recommend that if you've got industrial cling wrap or foil, it should work just as well, to line your dish with that, because it makes it so much easier to lift it out of the dish and then you can just peel it off. So a great method for lining a dish with corners is to actually cut into the sides of your cut rectangle, and that will help it go into the corners I mean, look how nicely that lines. And with the help of the spray and cook, it just keeps everything in place. So that's perfect. So our sugar is busy boiling. We're at about 100 and we've just gone over 120. How exciting, a breakthrough. Put my egg whites into the clean mixing bowl. You always have to make sure whenever you're using a mixing bowl that the bowl and the whisk are really clean, because egg whites, obviously, they react to fat and that will prevent it from whipping up nicely. So here I have some cream of tartar. I'm just going to put a nice pinch of cream of tartar in there. And what cream of tartar does is it helps to stabilize my egg whites. When our sugar mixture gets to 130, we have to start whipping our egg whites. I want to say on about a medium high speed, so that by the time they're nice and stiff, we can pour our sugar mixture into the pot. And the trick is when you're pouring it down the side, that you don't pour it onto the whisk, because what will happen is the whisk is going to throw the sugar all over the bowl, and then hello, we get less nougat because there's more sugar around the mixing bowl and less for us to eat. So I want to maximize and get the most out of everything I make. What I'm going to do now is just give it another light spray on the top, and this will really ensure that for effect that the nougat does not stick to the plastic. Okay, so now we're going to start whipping. I'm just going to lift the bowl up slightly and hold it in place because the mixture just needs a bit of help to get the egg whites at the bottom. And now we're going to turn it up. Turn it up some more. My crew is getting onto some lighting so you can see inside the bowl. Thank you so much, Mother Dearest. So you can see our egg whites have taken lift off. Now, if you find your egg whites are whipping too fast, all you need to do is turn the mixer down, but never switch your mixer off when you're whipping egg whites, okay? It will cause the egg whites to go fluffy and split. So I highly recommend turning the speed down almost to the lowest speed, but don't switch it off. Okay, our sugar is at temperature. Cameraman is on his way. So I'm going to take it out of the pot. It's literally on 140. Just be careful when you're removing the thermometer, as it's obviously nice and hot. So you can see my egg whites are stiff. They haven't split. And now we're going to start slowly pouring the sugar mixture down the side of the bowl. Lighting is there, fantastic. I mean, my behind the camera crew is really something. I hope they don't ask for payment. Almost there. Really trying to get the last bits out of this pot. Okay, so now we're going to whip this on a medium speed. I'm going to add my vanilla powder. And now I'm going to just put my nuts and some of my blueberries into the oven with some of my pistachios. And I'm going to keep some out though to put on the top for my decoration. Because we're doing our naked nougat back into my warm oven because it's almost time to put them inside. So after my 2-minute mark, I'm going to start adding my butter. My butter is room temperature so that it incorporates into my nougat later. If it's cold, it's obviously going to set the nougat quicker, which is not what we want. Okay, so now my 2-minute mixing time is up. I'm going to start adding my butter now. This is what's going to make the nougat really nice and chewy, and it obviously contributes to the flavor as well. Butter makes everything better. So just add blob by blob until most of the previous blob has been mixed in. Okay, so now that we've incorporated most of our butter, now I'm going to stop my mixer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. So we're just going to give it a good mix. Put the whisk back in, and I'm just going to whip it again. The trick is to obviously not overwork it either, because it will start to cool down too much and then it becomes very difficult to work from the bowl and moving it into our pan because it starts to set. So now I'm going to get my nuts and my blueberries. Obviously, if you want to chop the nuts and make them smaller, you can. I personally love the look of the whole nuts, especially when you cut the nougat into pieces. Okay, now just give it a good. Okay, so now I'm just folding in the nuts.
Well, at least again you get your exercise by trying.
Yes, this is also just choose the weak arm and start working that weak arm. This is a good workout. Okay, so now, like I said, we're working these arms today. We want to now put all of that into, get in there. I would actually recommend, because I'm using a silicone spatula, to swap to a metal spoon just to get the goods, the last bit of goods out there at the bottom. And now comes the fun part, the decorating. So I recommend you just sprinkle these, and then you're just going to lightly press them in just to help them stick, because sometimes the nougat tends to actually set quite quickly on the surface. So I'm just putting some of my rose buds in there. Just going to break some up as well. Beautiful. We eat with our eyes, right? So, and it's always going to be on the gram. So everything's got to look good for the gram. And this will take about 3 to 4 hours to set until we can attack it with knives. Some more vanilla powder that I'd just like to sprinkle over the top. And that, folks, is how you make homemade nougat. Thank you so much again to Social Kitchen for having me. Thank you all for joining me today. Please support your local businesses. We're all in this together, so stay safe, everybody, and happy baking. Thank you very much, and have a good day.